So this is going to be, who was it? Oh, it was Josh. Josh was asking about the questions to ask sellers before you get there in order to make the listing presentation much more, the chances of converting much higher. So these are the deep dive questions for buyers. So we've done it for sellers. These are the deep dive questions for buyers. So what you're trying to do here is build trust, and you're trying to come up with a strategy on how to help this person to make a decision that's in their best interest. So that's all we're trying to do as real estate agents, is we're just trying to help somebody make that decision, get them off the fence, teach them something they didn't know. Maybe they're waiting for interest rates to drop, or whatever these objections you guys are going to get. This is how we understand them deeper, and then we can help them make the decision that's in their best interest. So starting off, the reason why we do this is to build strong relationships with buyers. We want to come up with a strategy. We want to really get to know them and their family and what their motivation is. Now, a lot of people call it qualifying. Like, I want to qualify this person, but I don't like the term qualifying, because qualifying kind of makes it sound like you're qualifying if the person is a good fit to work with, or should I be wasting my time with this buyer going forward? Maybe they're gonna waste 2 months, 3 months, a year of my time. So qualifying kind of makes it sound like it's about you, but this is actually about them. So we're going to break down some of the key questions that I use, and I've taken some of the ones from the sellers and converted them into buyers just so that we have kind of an idea. But Josh messaged me after we did the listing presentation, those questions 2-3 weeks ago, and he said they worked perfect. So these questions do work, and they will usually be asking you to commit to work with them before you have to ask them, if you're asking the right questions. So we want to ensure that their needs are understood, their preferences are understood, and their expectations are clearly understood. And a lot of people get hung up on how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what do you want, hardwood floors, do you want a big backyard? It's like, none of that stuff matters. You want to understand the client inside and out. You want to understand their family, what they do for fun, because a lot of times the stuff that they're asking for is not really the stuff that they actually need. So we want to know what their must-haves, what they need to have, what's they can take off the table. Do they really need that 5 bedrooms? And this is how we get to know them. So the first question would be, what's that one characteristic you look for in a real estate agent? Now, this is going to sound kind of weird asking this question. Adam and I were just talking about his buyer's consultation. This is the best kind of buyer's consultation, Adam. This is how you really get to know the person. And instead of something that we call feature dumping, most agents feature dump. So they're going to come, they're going to get on the phone, and they're going to say why they're so great. I'm so great. I have a great team. I have a great company. I sold 43 homes in Summerside last year. I'm the Summerside specialist. But people don't care. People don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? So what we're trying to do here is let the person know that we care. So what's that one characteristic that you look for in a real estate agent? Sounds like a weird question, right? Especially it was as one of the first questions that come up, like right up before even bedrooms, bathrooms, all that kind of stuff. Because you've already got, the ISAs will qualify these people. You've already got, hey, I'm looking in Glenora. My budget's $600,000. I'm looking to make a move in the next 90 days. You've already kind of got that information. So now you want to, because the ISAs have collected that information, now you can deep dive. Now this works for buyers, for sellers. This works for people that come into an open house. When you're trying to sell yourself to these people and not sell them a house, these are the questions that works. So what's that one characteristic you look for in a real estate agent? This question will help understand like the qualities that they're looking for, right? So that they value the partnership. So I was dealing with an investor the other day, and I'm asking him, what does he look for in a real estate agent? And he literally said, just bring me the right properties. Well, so anybody can do that. So like, perhaps I'm not the person for you. If you're looking for an agent that's going to call you at 2 a.m. and say, hey, this property just hit the market. If you want an agent who's going to door knock, if you want an agent who has off-market deals, if you want an agent who understands the intricacies of how much money you're going to make on each flip, then I'm the person for you. But if you're just looking for properties, go sign up on a regular website and you'll get properties, right? So you want to make sure that these people feel confident choosing you as their real estate agent. So this is why you're asking these questions. What's that one characteristic you look like? Or what are some of the characteristics that you look for in a real estate agent, right? So that's the first question that I always ask. And this is going to get them trying to qualify you right at the beginning. It goes back to dating. Hey, what are you looking for in a partner? Perfect. Now you tailor how you are to exactly what they're looking for. Same thing in real estate. What are you looking for in a real estate agent? And then you tailor your buyer's presentation. You tailor your listing presentation exactly to what they're looking for. The second one would be, and this one comes straight from the seller side, what does really great service look like to you when buying a home? Obviously on the seller side, I say, what does really great service look like to you when you're selling your home? This is the buying side. So what does really great service look like to you? Because remember, we're in the service business. Adam came from the service business at a dealership, so he understands what great service. I'm sure his company had a way that they like to provide great service. But as a real estate agent, we don't really know what great service looks like to each buyer that we're working with. So if it's great service to somebody who comes into the service department at Acura is, I get in, I get it. It's quick. It's cheap. They do it right. Like this is the service that they're looking for. For a real estate agent, it could be anywhere. Like it could be good communication. It could be finding the right properties. It could be negotiating skills. There's a lot of things that come into great service. So, and the ending is always important. Maybe how you treat them at the end or how you follow up. So understanding what great service means to them allows you to tailor your actions to match their vision, right? So they have a vision of great service. Say, if you were going to rate my service at the end of all of this, what would be the things that you could pick out that you'd be like, he did this, he did this, he did this. So sometimes you got to stir their imagination a little bit. Okay. So for some people, it might be constant updates, right? For others, they don't even want to have updates. They just want to send me the properties. I just want to know when you find the right property, or let me know when the right home pops up on the market in Glenora, whatever it is. So you want to make sure that you know that right up front. The next one is going to be, hold on one second. So the next one is going to be, what are your expectations of me as a real estate agent? So a lot of times we talk about expectations, psychology books, sales books, all this stuff. Expectations are going to be huge. Unverbalized expectations always lead to disappointment. So if somebody has an expectation of you in no matter what relationship it is, if that expectation is not verbalized, somebody's always going to be disappointed because you're not going to act the same way that somebody wants you to act. They're not going to act the same way that you want them to act. So setting the expectations up front helps any misunderstanding. So they might expect you to call 3 times a week. They might not expect you to call until the property hits the market. Setting that expectation up front will ensure that nobody's disappointed. So this ensures, like this specific question ensures that you and the buyer are on the same page, right? So like you guys are on the exact same page and you know who has each responsibility. Are they searching on realtor.ca and letting you know when they find the right property? Are you searching? Are you going through every e-alert and looking through and seeing if it's a good fit for them and then letting them know? Are they going through everything and then letting you know? So what are the expectations that they have for you? This is going to be really important because not all service as a real estate agent is the same with every agent. So when you're asking them about what's happened with them in the past, what have been your experiences in the past, it might be a completely different way than you've experienced. Or like you guys are new in the business, you might meet a client who's been buying and selling homes for the last 25 years, and all of a sudden they're like, this is what I expect. You're like, okay, you've got to completely change your strategy for how you're dealing with that client, especially when it comes to like investors and stuff like that. They have certain expectations that regular first-time home buyers won't have. And somebody who's bought and sold 10 or 15 houses is going to have different expectations than a first-time home buyer, because a first-time home buyer doesn't even know what they want yet, doesn't even know what they don't want yet. So until they've bought or sold 2 or 3 houses, now they're like, oh, okay, this is what I don't want. I had this experience before. This is what I don't want, or this is what I do want. So what are your expectations of me as your real estate agent? So this is presumptive, right? You're presuming that they're going to choose you as a real estate agent. And this is very strategic. So this is something you start asking them on that first phone call. What are your expectations of me as a real estate agent? You're already assuming that they're agreeing to work with you exclusively, right? And so it goes into the back of their mind. They're already trying to figure this stuff out and being like, oh, I guess I am working with Adam, or I guess I am working with Jesse. So you're planting the seed, and the seed's going to grow throughout these questions. So the next one is kind of how you develop a strategy, right? And so there's always a strategy with every person. We talk about all the time problem solving. Well, there's a problem. Everybody has a problem. I want to buy a house in Glenora. My budget's $600,000, and I want to be moved before the snow falls. That's a problem. How do we solve it? So the next question is, what would an excellent property search look like to you? Right? So what does this look like? Like what would you consider excellent as far as the property search strategy? So maybe they're like, oh, what do you mean by strategy? Well, our strategy on how to find you that perfect home. What does an excellent property search strategy look like to you? And they don't even know that it is a strategy. And then so on the other side of it, when you do find that home, the negotiation strategy. And I put these two together because it's really important that they understand that there's a strategy for both. So not only is there a property search strategy on finding that property, but there's also a negotiation strategy, and we want to be excellent on that side as well. So once we know what an excellent property search strategy or what an excellent negotiation strategy looks like to them, then we can really understand what they're looking for. And all of these questions we're trying to pull out their motivation. We're trying to pull out when they're going to buy. We're trying to pull out if this person is qualified to be working with us at this exact moment. And you're going to see with a couple of these questions at the end, it weeds out the wheat from the chaff. I think that's the saying. It really weeds out all the people who are motivated, who are going to buy right now, and who aren't going to buy right now. Adam went on a listing presentation yesterday, and the person was kind of still loves their home, still wants to be in their home. So it's like that person is not motivated. So we shouldn't be putting 100% effort into trying to get them to sell their home. We're not going to convince them to do something that they're not willing to do at this moment. Okay. So by understanding their ideal strategy, you can adopt an approach to fit their preferences. Right? So what's your property search strategy? Because, we talk about to them all the time. It's like, okay, I'm going to send you a list of properties, and I'm going to show you guys how this tag works in the CRM. That I emailed you a list of properties and how it works in the background and how it can really help out your business. I'll go over that after. But okay, so what are you guys doing for what does an excellent property search strategy look like to you? And so they're going to say, okay, you send me the properties, I'll go through them. And it's like, okay, why don't I send you the properties? You look at them tonight. I'm going to call you tomorrow, and then we'll decide which ones you like and which ones you don't like. It is like, what's your strategy after that? Right? Normally we're telling them what to do. It's like, so what would be your strategy? What does an excellent property search strategy look like after I send you those properties? Let's say there's not the right property that's on the market, or there's not something that's quite right in your neighborhood. What is your strategy after that? Because waiting and hoping is not a strategy. They talk about that in finance all the time. Hope is not a strategy. So we need to come up with a strategy. So see what I'm doing here? I'm already kind of molding them and letting them know how this process is going to go. So we're going to develop a strategy, and we're going to make sure that we get that house. So once you don't find the house that you're looking for, then let's talk about other houses. Let's talk about different neighborhoods. So whatever your strategy is, you talk about that, but you want to know what their strategy is as well. So this is particularly important so that you're aligning expectations with how aggressive or cautious they want to be in the negotiations as well. So if you find that home that you particularly like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying, like, what's your negotiation strategy? Because this is gonna tell you, are they just looking for a good deal, or are they looking to get $50,000 off the list price? These questions are going to pull that out from them. Oh yeah, so once we find a property, I want to negotiate. I'm going to try to get $50,000 to $75,000 off. Well, you know that's not going to work. You know that what the actual strategy is you go through to the Paragon, you look at all the properties that are sold, you pull up all the properties that are comparable to this property. The 5 closest properties are all sold between 550 and 575. Now you're going to look at these properties and determine, okay, so where does this one fit within those properties that have sold? Right in the middle? Okay, great. So we're going to offer at 567.5. That's a negotiation strategy. So you're going to send those comparables that you based your price on to the seller's agent when you write the offer, so that they know why we're writing this offer. That's a negotiation strategy, not going and looking at $500,000 houses and lowballing them at 425 every time. That's not a strategy. So this is going to make sure that you're working with the people who are actually serious about buying and who aren't just trying to get a good deal. This one is the exact same as the seller one. What's a 10 out of 10 for communication during the home buying process? So same thing with the selling side. What's a 10 out of 10 for communication on the home selling process? And you guys could change these questions up a little bit. Just what, like sometimes I'll say, what's a 10 out of 10 for marketing look like? What's a 10 out of 10 for communication? What does amazing communication look like to you? So it doesn't really matter how you say it, but what you're trying to do to stir in them is, what's a 10 out of 10 for communication look like to you? So the buyers will have different communication preferences, right? Not everybody will. Adam and I talked about this on Friday as well. So he asked her specifically, how do you want to be communicated with? And she said, email. But then she said, but if the right property comes up, phone call. So she gave him the exact way that she wanted to be communicated with. So that's her 10 out of 10 for communication. Emailing, and then if the right property comes up, she wants to be called. So perfect. So now there's going to be no disappointment. She's going to expect a phone call. And when he does call, it's going to be wanted from her because she's asked for it. So because people have different preferences, some want frequent updates. Others may only want like major milestones, like so to be communicated. So you want to make sure that you're communicating with them in the timely manner that they've asked for and the way that they've asked for. Most people are going to ask for text messages. Some people don't want phone calls. Some people don't want to talk on the phone unless it's really, really important. So it's important to know this. Never assume any of this stuff, because I could tell you over the years and studying different clients and going through the CRM of deals that we've missed and deals that have come to transactions, you can never guess. You can never guess what somebody's going to say. Some people want something, and the exact same people and the exact same culture and the exact same process want something completely different. So make sure that you're asking this communication one. This one's very, very important, especially for yourself. So this communication one helps for yourself. So when you're picking up that phone call and you're worried or you're secretly hoping that they don't answer the phone, it's because you don't think that it's going to be received well on the other side. You don't think that that person wants to talk to you. But she just told Adam, if a property comes up that I like, I want to be called. So the minute you're making that phone call, you're excited to make that phone call because she told you that she wanted that phone call, right? So that's another good one. So frustration is huge when it comes to buying a home. Like there's a lot of things that could frustrate your clients. And a lot of times they don't verbalize it to you. They go home and they talk to their friends and their family or their spouse, and you don't really know what has frustrated them or will frustrate them so that you can avoid it. So I always ask this question: what would really frustrate you as this relationship goes on? And these wills feel weird to say at the beginning because you're not used to saying them, and you guys think that as new real estate agents that you just got to get out there and ask bedrooms, bathrooms, and like a lot of agents fall into the trap of asking for bedrooms and bathrooms in area, and then they go try to find that perfect house, and then the client ends up buying a house with a different real estate agent. And they like, I have no idea why. I was trying to find them the perfect house. They wanted that buy level in Jackson Heights, and I found them the perfect buy level because you didn't ask these questions. because you didn't really get to know the people on a deeper level, or they didn't really trust you, or they didn't feel like you really knew them. So trying to find the perfect house for a client is going to lead you to disappointment, because there is no perfect house. There's the perfect house does not exist. One of my inspectors says that all the time. The beginning of the inspection, the perfect house does not exist. And a lot of times when you're working with buyers, they will have to sacrifice something. So something out of the conversation, the beginning conversation that they have with the ISAs, is going to have to be sacrificed. It's usually, they don't usually get everything that they want. So what would really frustrate you as this relationship goes on? Understanding potential frustrations ahead of time helps you proactively avoid common pain points. So things that will frustrate them: communication. Things that will frustrate them: not finding the right house. Things that would frustrate them would be the seller's not allowing showings at a certain time. So these are frustrations that will come up, and ultimately it's going to get put on your shoulders. It's always going to be your fault. The seller won't allow a showing at 7:30 tonight. It's your fault, right? You get to the house and the key box isn't there, or Adam got to a house the other day and the seller changed the lock. Your fault. It's always going to be your fault, right? So make sure that you know what could frustrate them so that you can handle this. This allows you to create a smoother experience, and by just addressing the concerns early, right? So what would frustrate you as this relationship goes on? It's an amazing question, and you'll be very surprised on the different things that people come up with. And if they say frustrations, like, I don't know what would frustrate me. A lot of first-time homebuyers don't know what would frustrate them. I could tell you, after their first experience, they could tell you multiple things that will frustrate them. After they've sold 2 or 3 houses, they will have multiple things that frustrate them. And if you're dealing with somebody who bought and sold in excuse me, if you're dealing with somebody who bought and sold in 2007 and lost $75,000 on their house, they're going to have different frustrations and a different experience than somebody who bought in 2003 and sold in 2007 and made 300% increase on their house. So you're really going to have completely different experiences from completely different people. And I've been through so many different markets that I have dealt with a lot of different people, and who do have a lot of different experiences. And it's just funny to see them always different. So what has been your past home buying experience? And the reason that I ask this is so that we can maximize the positives and minimize the negatives. So what has been the biggest positive that has happened to you in your past home buying experience? What has been the biggest negative that's happened to you? I really want to know this. The agent didn't communicate with me when we were looking at houses, and then I would have to search on realtor.ca. Or we got to the house. This is the exact one that just happened. We got to the house and they didn't have a key to the front door. They just give us a code. We didn't have a key to the front door. So they were frustrated. The cupboards weren't cleaned. We told them to professionally clean the house. The cupboards weren't clean. The fridge wasn't cleaned. So he was frustrated about that. So that was that. The next time that he has a home buying experience, he's going to tell his real estate agent, this is what happened. This was my experience when I bought a house. And so the real estate agent is going to say, oh, wow, okay. So the way that we handle that is we make sure that we not only put in the cleaning, but that we do a 24-hour inspection beforehand, right? So you could talk to them like that. Okay, I want to maximize this. I want to minimize this. This has been something bad that happened. This is something good that happened. Let's amplify the positives and minimize the negatives. So this question, you're going to learn about their experiences, right? You're going to learn about what worked, what didn't work, and you're going to know what they're looking for in like the beginning, the middle, and the end. So what you're looking for in the search. So what was your experience in the search? Did you look? Did the realtor look? Did the realtor text you? Did the realtor email you? What about when you were writing an offer? How did you come up with the price? How did you look at comparables? Did the realtor send you all the sold comps? And I could tell you from experience, a lot of times the realtor never sends them a sold comp. They say, hey, what is this house worth? 500,000? Okay, we want to write an offer of 460, right? So it's like, you didn't look at the comps, you didn't do your research, you didn't really do anything. So I always want to know what's their experience been like in that. How did the inspection go? How did the financing go? Who did you work with for financing? Was it a smooth transaction in the financing? Was there any negatives with the bank that you were dealing with? Was there any hiccups at closing? Who's the lawyer that you were dealing with? How did that go? What was your experience on that? And sometimes they forget what happened because they bought or sold 5, 6, 7 years ago. They forget, oh yeah, there was a problem with the RPR. Oh yeah, we took title insurance in lieu of. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, make sure that this same problem doesn't happen. Make sure that we're handling the RPR effectively. Make sure that if we're doing title insurance, that we know what we're doing.
Hey, Matt, could I say one thing too that I noticed, like through the questions?
Yep.
Just one way to I noticed to really show them that you're actively listening as well. Cause when you ask, okay, what would really frustrate you? What would really frustrate you? And then down a few questions later, when you say, okay, what's been your positive and negative? I would say, make sure you throw in, okay, besides that one thing that would really frustrate you, because usually they're going on past experiences anyway with that. So a lot of these questions will really flow in nicely as long as you're repeating back their answers where it's appropriate. Because if you get to the end of it and they've answered this sort of the same concerns a bunch of times, that could potentially frustrate them in itself, right? Because they feel like they've answered it a few times. So just making sure you acknowledge, hey, I know that besides the inspection that really frustrated you last time, what are a few of the other negatives? So I wanted to point that out.
That's a great tip. And so it's important to note that these just aren't questions to find out the answer. These are questions to dig deep and get to know the person. So a lot of times you're asking the question to hear their answers. You're not asking this question to write it down on a piece of paper so that you can have a whole bunch of notes later on. This is to just develop rapport. And this person's going to really, it's not even that the questions even matter. It's the fact that you're asking these questions and that you care about those answers. Because the agent that calls them and says, hey, yeah, we sell the most houses in Summerside, and we'll get you the cheapest house, the best house on the block for the cheapest. It's like they don't care about that. They know that you don't care about them, but these questions really lead them to believe that you care about the process, you care about them. Because this, after all these questions, there's 2 more questions. After all these questions, you know nothing about the house that they're looking for, right? You know absolutely nothing about the house that they're looking for. All you know is about the experience that they want for the purchase of that new home. And they're going to feel that. They're going to be like, holy, I give him everything. I was like, this guy knows me. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to answer these questions again for another real estate agent. So just by default, they're probably going to choose you as a real estate agent. Yeah, that's a great tip to make sure that you're actively listening, and then not just listening to respond and not just listening to make yourself sound important or make yourself sound what you know. The key to this is what Josh was saying, is empathy in what they've said. So they're going to tell you their experience, and then you're going to provide empathy, and you're going to say, well, yeah, we've had clients say this a lot. And the one thing that we do on closing is we make sure that we do a 24-hour walkthrough. The one thing that we do on closing is if title insurance is used, we make sure that we go to Jenna and we ask her, is this appropriate? Should we be accepting this? So it's like you're empathetic to the situation. You say, you're not alone. This happens to a lot of people. We hear this a lot. And then you go into ways that you've gone around it so that they realize like, oh, okay, well, in the future, when I'm working with Matt, he's going to make sure that I'm covered on this. So that's a really good tip. On it, this is a good one here, because some people don't want you to be honest with them. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest can I be with you during the process? Right? My coach used to say, how do you want feedback on what you've done last week? He'd say hot, medium, or mild, right? And a lot of people don't want it hot. A lot of people want it downplayed a little bit. So how honest can I be with you during the process, right? This helps you gauge their comfort level with direct feedback. You don't really know. Maybe they were scolded a lot in their last job or as a kid or whatever, and they can't take constructive criticism. So it's important to know how candid you can be, especially when giving advice, discussing property values, pricing, when they can't find the right home and what they should do next. Like you want to know how honest you could be. Like if you're like got a very close relationship and they've told you, like, you could be super honest with me, Matt. I went out with a client a couple nights ago, and I don't feel like they want me to be super honest with them. I don't feel like I could just be like, listen, you've got to sell your house. You've got to put your house on the market. Every house is coming up. You guys are doing this completely wrong. Every house that comes up that they want to buy is gone immediately, and they have a subject to the sale of a home condition. And I've said it nicely in a very like low manner, and try not to be like, hey, listen, this is not, it's not going to work, because I haven't gotten to that point and they don't want the honesty. I asked them this question and they're like, oh no, we want honesty, but just, we want to make sure that we're making the right decision and that we're involved. They don't want to be told what to do. So I'm like, okay, I've got to deal with these people in a different way. So how honest can I be with you during this process? You'd be surprised. You think that most people are going to say 10 out of 10 honest, but you give them the feedback and then all of a sudden it's, they'll never call you again. So you got to be careful with that. Here is going to be, this is where you're going to find, this is my favorite question that nobody asks. And this is where you're going to really find the motivation, and you're going to really find out, should I be working with this person right now? How much effort should I be working with them, putting into them right now? What are your expectations on how long it will take you to find your ideal home? What are your expectations on how long it will take you to find your ideal home? This is a similar question to, when do you want to be moved by, right? Except this is talking about their motivation. So if that perfect home pops up, are you willing to make a move right now? So if their expectations is that probably the right house isn't going to pop up for 6 months, 8 months, or maybe not at all, you need to really take a step back and be like, okay, do we need to have another conversation about what your expectations are for the house that you're getting? We talk about this a lot. So we're not finding the house that you want for the price that you want. Do you want to adjust your expectations, or do you want to adjust your price? It's like, that is like, if you think you're going to get a triple car garage for $600,000 in South Edmonton, it's just not going to happen. So if that's what they're looking for, and you say, what are your expectations on how long it will take to find your ideal home? And they say, oh, it's probably not going to be for 6 months. Okay, well, you going out and looking with them tomorrow or the next day and 3 times a week is not going to help you be successful as a real estate agent. So this will help you understand their timeline and their urgency. That's the most important part, their timeline and their urgency, right? This is going to make sure that you know how aggressively the home search process is going to go. Because if they're just like, oh, it's probably not going to pop up for 6 months, then you know that that person is highly, highly unmotivated. Questions about that? Those are the questions. So I'm gonna pop this inside of the group so that you guys can see them, and I'll put them there. But do you guys have any kind of like questions, or have you dealt with this in the past? Okay, I'm gonna pick on somebody. Adam. If somebody says, what's that one characteristic you look for in a real estate agent? What do you think their response is going to be?
Well, I think there's going to be several answers to this, and like several the deciding factors. One of them is how you communicate with them, how fast you communicate with them. So if they reach out to you, are you always busy? Are you always like missing their phone calls? So that's one part. And of course, they want an honest real estate agent. They don't want somebody who's just wanting to sell them the house, like who goes to a house, points out only the good stuff, and just trying to make a sale, because they can sense that immediately, and that will discourage them with continuing to work with you. So
okay, let's go back to the first characteristic. So the first characteristic is answering your phone in a timely manner and being there for them. So somebody says that's an important characteristic. I'm looking for somebody who I can get a hold of and talk to and make sure that they're going to answer the phone when I'm there to call. How do you tailor your buyer's presentation or response to that? It doesn't have to be a direct response after that exact question. How do you tailor what you do to what they're looking for?
At any given time, I work with 5 clients at most who are my prime clients. They are my top priority during the week, and I answer their correspondence in a timely manner. I'm always there for them when they need me.
Perfect. Yeah. So I work with 5 clients at any given time. I make sure that everyone feels like they're my only client. I can assure you that I am busy because I put in 100% effort with all 5 of my clients that I'm working with. I always leave space in between appointments. So if I'm going from one appointment to the other, I make sure that I have time to call people back. So I can assure you that if you call me and I'm in a showing with one of my other clients, I'm going to get back to you immediately when it comes out. Shoot me a text message. I'm going to make sure that I respond in a timely manner. Communication is important to me, and making sure that my clients feel like they're my only client is important to me. So I want to make sure that you're satisfied with the service. Like, it's just, you're always just, okay, so what are you looking for? What's that characteristic? I'm going to tell you what I do, right? And sometimes you're going to ask this question, and then the next time you meet them, you're going to give them this answer. You're going to have it written down, right? Or the next time you call them, you're going to have this answer, and you're going to tell them this. So it doesn't always have to be right at that moment. Like, what is one characteristic you look like? Great communication. You don't have to say it at the moment. Oh, great, I'm good at communication because I do this. But you can put it into the conversation casually at any point, right?
And it's good, Matt, too. It's good to make sure you ask for like clarification on some of those very generic type answers, because good communication can mean a lot different for depending on what person's asking or one person's telling you, right?
For sure. So what would be one that you would, let's say, if somebody says to you, if you ask somebody, what does an excellent property search strategy look like to you? What kind of response would you get from that? Because this is a little different from your seller questions that you asked. Josh.
Sorry, it was cutting out. What did you ask, Matt?
I said, so if you ask the question, what would an excellent property search strategy look like to you? What response do you think you'd get?
Some specifics around, ensuring that you don't fill up my inbox with a bunch of houses that I don't like. I don't want to see condos if I'm asking for acreage properties. I don't want to see, I want to see walkouts only, some very specifics on their search criteria, neighborhood specific. I try to make sure I preface that I cast a wider net than they probably need, because of a lot of real estate agents don't check the boxes needed. But I think, the specifics on the property, probably what I've found is sometimes it's too specific, and then, like I said, then you can't tailor the search as much as they want sometimes.
And then as far as the strategy goes on getting that right house, so that's the initial search that we set up. Then what do you want what's your idea of a good strategy on that we find that right house? Or how do we qualify these houses that we're looking at? Or how do we go through the houses that I've sent you and come up with a strategy on which one's best?
What I found is not a lot. Well, it's not like I've dealt with that many people yet, but what I found is a lot of people don't know this part of the answer. And so it's a good opportunity to build that problem or build that strategy together, right? And just say, okay, well, it's good to go out and see a couple houses together. In my mind, like you guys have said in the past, that kind of checks the box in their mind that you are their realtor if you can get them face to face, and then come up with a strategy while you're out looking at houses.
Perfect. So that's exactly it. So a lot of things, what you're trying to do is realize, why do you need a real estate agent? Why do I need a property search strategy? Right. I say this to a lot of people who are going to go for sale by owner. I say, oh, what's your online marketing strategy to hit the most amount of people possible? And they're like, what do you mean an online marketing strategy? So a lot of these questions are being like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. So in the same thing, it's like, what is your strategy for finding that perfect house? Right. And how are you getting the perfect house to come on the market, get it immediately when it comes on the market? What about a multiple offer situation? What about when houses are pending and putting on backup offers? So like, what's your strategy on that? And then they'll be like, oh, I never even thought of that. So it's exactly what Josh just said. Like, you want to let people know what they don't know. Like, you want to let people know part of the process, like, is using you because you have all this knowledge and experience, right? Yeah, that's good. That's really good. What
Hey, Matt,
about
one that
yep.
came up actually when I asked was experience. So that's once again, that's kind of a subjective term, right? How would you handle that like that request? That's what they want in a real estate agent, is they want experience.
Okay, perfect. So are you looking for experience on the real estate market? Or are you looking for experience in customer service? Because I've been in the sales industry for 15 years. I've been working with buyers and sellers of all different types. My business partner, Matt, has been in the business since 2007. We have a ton of experience. We have a sales manager that handles a lot of our clients. We have a back-end system that's amazing. And then you start feature dumping on that. I can assure you that, like, I'm going to know the real estate market inside and out. I'm looking at statistics as they hit the market at weekly to know what's going on with the market. Is it going up? Is it going down? I know more about the Bank of Canada dropping rates and bond yields and the 5-year fixed than most mortgage agents do. So I can go through. And so you just kind of like go like talk about that kind of thing. Are you more worried about the experience that I have as a real estate agent, or the experience that you are going to get working with me? Because I can ensure that the client experience is the top paramount when it comes to buying a home, or it's just kind of stuff like that. You can always have like a candid response to that, but use me as a, like, my business partner, Matt, has been in here since 2007. We work closely. You know, we've got a sales manager and all that kind of stuff, right?
That's basically what I said, but it was something that kind of caught me off guard a bit, but that's what I leaned on, was just like, look, I'm coming with multi-million-dollar type transactions, so it's not really that much different. And then I leaned on the team after that, right? So I think clarification on it too, because like some people will mean, okay, well, what do you mean by experience? Or can you tell me more about what you mean by experience? And then you can tailor that to what they're actually looking for. Maybe it's years in the business, maybe it's number of transactions, whatever. But I definitely leaned on your and the team's experience mostly.
Yeah, and it goes back to it's the one time I didn't say why. Why do they want someone with experience? So there's a couple reasons they might want somebody with experience. Number one, because they think somebody with experience is going to get them a better price for their house, or let them buy a house for cheaper. Number two, they're going to mess up the deal, right? So they're going to write something wrong into the contract. They're going to mess something up in the deal. Number three, they don't, like, a lot of people don't even know like how a house is built. What's 2x4 construction? What's spray foam? What's the HVAC? What's in-floor heating? What's a hot water on demand? So if it's just about that stuff, you can highlight your experience as far as home building and renovations and that kind of stuff. Usually, the experience thing comes in with investors. I want somebody with experience. I don't want a new agent who doesn't know even what a contract looks like. I want somebody who knows the market, because it's all about money. But most people, like first-time home buyers, they usually don't call you out on experience. It's usually somebody who has experience of their own, right? And if it's about the contract, if it's about messing up, you could literally say that our like contracts go through they're vetted through everything. Contracts go to the team leader, goes to the brokerage, goes to the conveyancing department. We make sure that every T is crossed and I is dotted. Like nothing's missed on these contracts. And we have a whole bunch of experience dealing with, you know, title insurance and RPRs and whatever it is. We have team resources that we do training every Thursday. Like any of the stuff you can really, you know, it sucks if you're a solo agent and you've been in the business for 3 months and you work for Anisha Real Estate and you're like, you know, it's just a discount broker, it's just cheap to be there, and you're literally just saying it as like, oh, I'm an agent. It's like, well, how much experience do you have? They tell you to lie, right? Like in this industry, they tell you to lie. How many homes did you sell last year? You sold 2 homes last year. They tell you to talk about your brokerage. They say, oh, our brokerage sold 456 homes in the last 6 months. It's like, that's not what the guy asked. The guy asked how many homes you sold. And if you were honest and said, yo, I sold 2 homes, that's what the guy's probably talking about experience. It's like, you've only sold 2 homes in the last 18 months. It's like, I kind of want somebody with more experience, right? So it sucks when you're a solo agent at a brokerage that doesn't have a lot of training, it doesn't have a lot of support. But like when you're on a team, it's pretty easy. You say, this is our website, this is all the agents. Not only do I have a business partner in Matt, but I also have partner agents. Like we got 7 other agents on the team, and we're always working together, talk about these meetings and stuff like that, right? So you get a lot from the experience thing.
Yeah, that's really good. It could come up at any time. Just wanted to say.
Yeah, it definitely will come up a lot. And like when I started, I was like in my mid-20s, and the question I got the most is, how long you been doing this, right? And I had nobody. It was just me. So it's like, how long you been doing this? That's the question that sucks, right? Because you're like, oh, I've been doing it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And they like that you look young, so they know that you don't have a lot of experience. But you know, when you lean on the team and people go and look at you on social media and you have the Move Faster team and you're linked to other websites and stuff like that, people will come around. They'll do their research on the experience, right? What about anybody has anything else about anybody's asked these questions before? Somebody said expectations. Somebody said anything else that caught you off guard or that you didn't know how to answer? Just like how Josh had the experience one. Adam, you see how these questions can differ greatly from that conversation that you had with her on the phone the other day? Like it's those questions work, like, or talking about yourself works, right? But one thing that Adam and I talked about on Friday is like when you're feature dumping, you're saying, hey, we got a great team. We're going to take care of you. We're going to make sure that you have a smooth transaction. We're going to get the best price. It's like all the stuff, like when you're feature dumping, people only care, like the whole time that you're talking, I can guarantee you the only thing that is going through that person's head, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, is what does this mean for me? That's all that's going through their head. Same thing as when I'm doing a market update video and I'm saying the real estate market is up by 6.5%. The condo market is up by 24%. The inventory has dropped. Nobody cares about those numbers. All they care about is what it means for them. Oh, it means that my house went up by 4% this year. Perfect. That's all they're waiting for. So it's the same thing as like when you're feature dumping on somebody and saying, I have a team, I have a CRM, I can send you listings. 3 minutes, it's updated every 3 minutes. You're going to get the newest listings as they hit the market. Like, they don't care about that. They care about, hey, what does it mean for me? It means you're not going to miss out on any more properties. You're searching on realtor.ca. I'm going to send you properties so you get them every 3 minutes so you make sure that you never miss out on another property. That's what it means for you. That's what working with me means for you. Working with me means that you're not going to have to worry about searching for lawyers and searching for inspectors and talking to mortgage brokers and finding the best rates, because I can help with that. So it's like, that's what it means. Like you can say the basic stuff like, oh, we work with a bunch of preferred lenders. We can help you find lawyers. But what does it actually mean for them? Right? Questions? Anybody got questions?